Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our base webinar. Thank you for joining. I hope you're all well. We just had a conversation about the great timing of this webinar being at lunchtime, so I hope you're enjoying your lunch wherever you are. Khalid, Tian, and myself will have to wait, which is, something we'll have to bear. We'll just wait for a few more people to join. Give us a comment, say hello, tell us where you're joining from. Awesome. I think in the interest of time, let's get going. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, my name is Pete Dupont, and I look after the UK partnerships here at Base. My job is to showcase some of the key players as part of our partnership ecosystem. And today, I'm really pleased to welcome not one, but two guest speakers. First, I'd like to introduce Khalid Attia, Senior Global Director from Orange Connex. Hey, Khalid, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, all good, Pete. Fantastic to be here with you guys in a great audience with Pete and Tian, Temu and Base, two of our very, very strategic partners. And we're looking forward to kicking off this session. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Khalid. Do you want to give us a quick intro about yourself?
Yes, so I've been with Orange Connex now for 2.5 years. Industry and background in this industry has been about 20 years in logistics, fulfillment, distribution, from a range of international shipping, dangerous goods, road haulage, European freight, and now
interrupt, Khalid. How dangerous?
How dangerous? Very dangerous.
Okay.
We're talking explosives, radioactives, all sorts. And now in the glamorous world of fulfillment, warehousing, and distribution. And my remit is all regions outside of China. So we mainly look after our Australian, US, UK and European clients, with some as far-reaching as the UAE and Turkey.
Awesome. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
And alongside Khalid, we have Tian Li, who's Director of Business Development for the UK team at Temu. Welcome, Tian.
Yep. Hi, Pete. Thank you very much for the introduction. Guys, I'm Tian Li. I'm the BD Director of Temu UK. Currently, I'm leading 3 categories in Temu, grocery, home kitchen, and garden. I've been in Temu for 1 year, but I find today's conversation very interesting because before joining Temu, for quite a few of years, I had my own brand. I was a seller. I was on your side of table myself. So I had my own brand. I had my own shop from Amazon, from eBay, from DTC, and also TikTok shop, etc. So I feel like I know the perspective from both sides. It's really nice speaking to you all today. Hopefully, hope later we could tell you more about the opportunity in Temu in 2026. Thank you.
Awesome. It's great to have you here, Tian. And I think that insight from that seller perspective is so crucial. I too started in sort of a personalized gifting startup at Ecom, and if I knew then what I know now, I think things would be very different. And I think it's great to be able to have that experience from both angles. For those watching, please, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll probably get to them at the end of the webinar in our Q&A if time permits. If we run out of time because we're chatting too much, directly after the event. What we're going to do today is quickly talk about Base for those who may not be so familiar. We're then going to have a bit of a chat about scaling on Temu and operationally how to make that as slick as possible. We'll hear from Tian to talk about Temu and again the opportunity in lots of different categories, but specifically the category that she's looking after. We'll then hear from Khalid about the fulfillment piece and again how crucial that is to scaling well on Temu. And then we'll hear any questions from the floor afterwards. For those who are less familiar with Base, I just want to tell you a little bit about what it is that we do and how we can support Temu sellers. Base is an end-to-end multi-channel management platform that helps e-com sellers better manage, coordinate, and scale their online channels. We have 30,000 or over 30,000 global users, and we have a really global footprint in terms of teams. This is a multifunctional platform. And what that means is it brings together different components in the operational flow when you're consolidating your sales channels all under one roof, including marketplaces such as Temu, your D2D, social commerce, etc. It stores your product data for your listings, and it manages your inventory and pricing and creates those listings across those channels, and then brings those orders back into base to be fulfilled potentially by partners like Orange Connex, but we also have some of our own WMS and pick and pack solutions for those that you're doing in-house. It has an inbuilt analytics tool for P&L on marketplaces, so it's a very powerful new tool. Just from a pricing perspective, for those who, again, not quite in the know, I'll just add there are no fixed contracts or fixed volumes to hit, as Base operates on a pay-as-you-go approach based on order volumes. And all of these base features that you've seen are open. There's no hidden costs to use. I'll share more information at the end of the webinar that you can follow up and do a bit more research, or of course speak to the team as and when time permits. So Temu, adding new channels into your e-com setup is obviously a great idea, right? It generates sales through a new set of customers that you weren't previously connecting with. It can create more brand awareness and reinforces trust. Adding another channel like Temu, of course, reduces the risk of relying on other marketplaces or fewer marketplaces for those volumes. And of course, all those good things. The potential pitfalls, though, of course, are to avoid making the mistake that, operationally, you have to be able to incorporate news channels without breaking what you have already. And I suppose by that, I mean your existing team can cope with managing new listings, allocating inventory and dealing with those new order volumes in terms of workload, but also things like new customer inquiries. Temu has been getting a lot of attention over the last year or so plus as this hottest new marketplace in town, and one to join to reach these new heights as a seller. Tian, we'll hear a bit more about what the opportunity is like on Temu for new sellers from your perspective shortly. But before we cover that, when you're speaking to brands and sellers at the moment, what are the types of challenges that you come across when you're talking about joining Temu as a seller? Tian, what are the types of challenges that you come across? Oh, we can't hear you, Tian.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. Thanks for the question, Pete. I guess for all the e-commerce platforms, for new onboards, new sellers, there are always a learning curve. But for Temu, I guess this is already one of the most straightforward platform. The typical challenges would be learning curve on listing, on stock management, on fulfillment, etc. Nothing special, but in general, Temu is a very straightforward platform. Yeah.
And I suppose, from a customer sort of satisfaction perspective, these new sellers on Temu need to hit the ground running to gain traction on that new marketplace. And increasingly so, you mentioned there fulfillment, there's a lot of pressure on that logistical side to make this super quick, i.e. next day, sort of where possible.
Yes.
Make it cost effective, sustainable, and obviously with transparent communications between the seller and the end customer. Do you sort of agree with that, perspective of how important that is?
Absolutely. So Temu started in 2022 as a platform, e-commerce marketplaces. Mostly at the time, it was cross-border sellers selling on Temu. However, in August 2024, we launched our local to local program, where we are now fully focused on. So with local sellers, the competitive advantage is definitely one of the biggest competitive advantages comparing to cross-border sellers is definitely fulfillment, quick fulfillment, instant fulfillment. In my presentation later, you will see that is the key drive for success on Temu.
Yeah, so no pressure on those businesses then who are managing the day-to-day stuff of fulfillment. So Khalid, again, from your perspective, how does that fulfillment excellence become sort of make or break when you're launching on a new channel like Temu in particular?
Yeah, I think it's important for all channels across the multi-channel and marketplace landscape. But when you're a new seller, particularly, it's about repeat buys, buyer loyalty, and buyer satisfaction. Ultimately, if you kick off on the wrong foot or start on the wrong foot, your buyers won't be repeat. You won't have that loyalty. And to scale on a new marketplace, you need your feedback, your reliability, your delivery metrics, everything to be as close to 100% as possible. And a lot of people find that minefield of logistics, fulfillment, and distribution quite a headache. So they tend to outsource that as quickly as possible from the beginning. And that's where we can provide the support, particularly with the likes of Temu sellers who want to scale as quickly as possible on the marketplace. They want to be able to focus on running their business, on connections with base, for example, to access the Temu landscape, and to be able to scale as fast as possible without the headache of the fulfillment. And that's where we take away all the heavy lifting to say, your inventory is safe with Orange Connex in the facilities globally. Today, we're discussing mainly the UK, but it's to focus on just providing the best buyer satisfaction and buyer experience to scale as quickly as possible and to be successful on the marketplace. And that's what it requires. People don't get second and third chances these days. The competition is stiff.
And that's really true. And within that, kind of, there's also this really strategic question here as well, right? So which products to launch on a new channel like Temu, which ones, as you say, to outsource as soon as you can to a 3PL like Orange Connex, which may be to manage in-house, particularly when you're unsure of expected volumes of sales from a new channel, alongside your current setup, which might be sort of more established sort of sales channels.
Right.
Khalid, from your perspective, then, how do you advise on this topic? Is it to list all your SKUs on a new channel and outsource everything, as you say, as quickly as possible? Or do you talk about these sort of hero products initially? It'd be great to get your thoughts, and then Tian as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of different factors. So a lot of people like to throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink, and just go all in. But I always come from the perspective of don't put all your eggs in one basket. Give it a trial on different platforms, different marketplaces. Different products will have different success rates in different marketplaces. As you slowly scale up, you will then identify where your best-selling SKUs are, what your fastest moving and hottest products are. And really, it's a case of outsourcing, which you would find most difficult to handle in-house, but never throw everything at it in one go, because it's a case of steady scale. If you throw everything all in one go, you may find that you've used either the wrong SKUs on the wrong marketplaces, or the wrong connection tools, the wrong listings, and you're not really focused on scaling up each aspect of your business. So the whole point of outsourcing is to be able to alleviate you of that stress and strategize what you want to grow and where. So it's never a case of, many businesses will say, give me everything, I'll handle all of it for you, just for the sake of winning as much business as possible, as quickly as possible. It may not always be the right tool for the seller, though. So it's about trying to make sure that the seller is scaling strategically and correctly for the benefit of their long-term growth. And that's what we're here to support.
Okay, terrific. And Tian, would you agree, or from a marketplace perspective, are you saying give us everything?
No, I definitely agree. I think we've seen sellers who have over 1 million SKUs and were very ambitious to list everything at the very beginning, which we usually would recommend to choose some test products to test on the platform. We usually even would recommend to start from around 20 to 30 to make sure that everything is integrated smoothly, and to make sure that they understand how SEO works on our platform, how images work, how everything works in their best way to get the best conversion and best nature organic traffic. So I definitely agree. I think getting a few to test is the best solution to start on platforms, especially platforms like Temu. But later on, after that, after lessons learned, after everything worked out smoothly, we would recommend to sellers to upload all of their products on the platform. Usually the testing period is around 2-3 months, not very long. After that, we do recommend to have more products on the platform, because our algorithm do favor breadth of products. Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting, because both of your tactics are the same. From that fulfillment perspective then, Khalid, you prefer seeing maybe proof of concept of something that sells, because then you're able to have that conversation with the seller about volume that's going to come into the warehouse and expected sort of put through rate in terms of orders. So it's nice to be able to work with sellers when they're scaling, unsure of where they're going to sell, but equally you've got, again, a steady flow of volumes that you can work on.
Correct. Yeah, it's from every perspective, whether it's a new seller or an existing seller. Obviously, an existing seller will know exactly which approach they want to take and which SKUs they want to outsource to fulfillment, or which SKUs would work best on certain marketplaces. So as Tian rightly mentioned, they may come along with 50,000 to 100,000 SKUs, but they'll know exactly which 30 they want to test on Temu, which work well in other marketplaces. They may not work well or replicate that same success via Temu. So they'll now have to switch over after their phasing period, after 2-3 months, to a different set or try a different approach. It's the same with the fulfillment piece. It's not a case of just throwing everything at it, which a lot of sellers don't tend to do anyway, because they'll have either multiple fulfillment solutions or their own in-house logistics solution. So they'll trial or select which ones will work best for them. And then after a successful phasing period of 2 to 3 months, they may decide that they want to put their entire inventory through because of a cost saving or effective KPIs, or obviously greater success. Once they've done that, then they can remove themselves from the logistics, spider web of difficulties and complexities, and look after their business and let us do all the difficult logistics work.
Amazing. And then, Tian, from your perspective, obviously, you're sort of drawing more and more SKUs as that seller gets more and more established. It probably goes that they're developing more products along the way as well. And obviously they've seen proof of concept, maybe they're sourcing new products or different SKUs. And the same approach would exist then in terms of adopting those surely but slowly onto Temu.
Yes. We usually, for our sellers, again, we usually would recommend to start from 20 to 30 and gradually to add on more as the algorithm favors listings. Every time when there's new listing, our algorithm brings in new traffic. As I mentioned earlier, Temu is a very straightforward platform. If the seller can work out the listing and have someone like Orange Connex or any partner to help them to take good care of their fulfillment, Temu is a very simple, very straightforward platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's a great segue into telling us a bit more about Temu, please, Tian.
Okay, so in case if anyone joined us late, let me just introduce myself again. My name is Tian. I'm the business development director of Temu based in the UK, to be specific, based in London. We have an office near London Bridge, so anytime if you are near our office, let us know. We'd love to invite you to our office to meet you in person as well. So currently in Temu, I'm looking after grocery, home kitchen, and garden. I actually mentioned earlier that I really enjoy conversations like this because before joining Temu, I was actually on your side of table. I was a seller myself for many years. I had my own brand, and also I had my own stores on Temu, not on Temu, on TikTok Shop, on eBay, and on Amazon. I understand the pressure the merchants face, as well as the expectations platforms have. I've seen both perspectives. So today's session, let me take over this slides. Yeah. So today's session, I would really like to focus on one thing: why Temu is becoming an essential marketplace for UK sellers, and what sort of opportunities we could bring you in 2026. I will share what is unique about Temu, our key data, and most importantly, how the local seller model works, both commercially and operationally. And also, last but not least, how you can benefit as a base.com partner. For people who are not quite familiar with Temu yet, we are actually a very young company. We launched in September 2022 in the US. but we grow very, very rapidly. Taking our revenue data as an example, as you can see here, in 2024, our global revenue was 71 billion. However, if we look at the same data in 2023, our revenue was around $18 billion. So within 1 year, we have achieved around 400% revenue growth globally. Also in 2024, we have already got 100 million monthly active users in the US alone. And we became the most downloaded app 2 years running. By February 2025, we led overall app downloads in around 40 major markets, including the UK. And speaking of UK, we can drill down the data to UK specifically. Currently in the UK, we have around 13 million monthly active users with around over 20 million downloads, which is around 1/3 of the population. This is definitely a meaningful number of people in the UK. So I guess with this, the next question is, are the customers browsing or are they actually spending? The answer is actually they spent. As I mentioned about our global revenue earlier, also looking at our average order value number, which is $40 in 2024. Bear in mind that this number has also included cross-border sellers, which tend to sell products at relatively lower price points. So if we look at local to local program only, the average order value would be much higher than that. And also this year, our mission is to grow our local to local program. Currently, we have a team of around 70 people based in the UK. Our target is to grow around 50% of our revenue from local sellers. This is strong signal to show how much determination and how much adaptation we're gonna make to fill the gaps. I guess for many sellers, before joining Temu, they would have concerns like, if I join Temu, will it cannibalize my own website sales? As a former seller myself, every time when I make my decision of joining a new platform, I always had that concern. So in general, from our observation from Temu is that Temu is an incremental channel rather than a cannibalization channel. Let me take you through the data that would back up my points. In the UK, currently, 78% of our traffic is actually organic. Temu is only paying for around 22% of the traffic. And also, secondly, 70% of our revenue, our customers are repeated customers. They come again and again. And thirdly, if we look at the time the sellers actually spend on Temu is 18 minutes. In the UK, the number is actually even higher. It's around 21 minutes. Comparing to the average spend time of the other marketplaces that are being reported, which is around 10, 11 minutes. Temu has customers do spend longer time on Temu due to our gamification settings, etc. So we have a real case to back this up as well. One of the top Amazon sellers in the UK, who is also our top Temu sellers, analyzed their customer base and found that over 95% of the Temu orders actually come from new customers rather than any existing customers. And customers he had never, basically those are the customers he have never delivered to via his own website or via other Amazon shops, other platform shops. And also during their time in Temu, they never see any decline, any drop from the other channels, which further shows that Temu is an incremental channel.
I think that's really interesting, Tian, isn't it? And just to interrupt, I think each marketplace will have its own demographic of shopper. They'll come to different marketplaces for different reasons, either through direct search or because of ads or traffic. But again, it's a different age group, with a different demographic, it's a different sort of set of customers. There, of course, is going to be a question of cannibalization and diminishing presence by being everywhere to some degree. But as you say, you've always got that. This is a set of new sellers that you hadn't previously been speaking to, customers, sorry.
Yes. Okay, so I guess then probably for many of the sellers, the next question is who are actually purchasing from Temu? Here is our demographics. If we look at our demographics, we are slightly skewed towards female, but also have a strong male presence of around 43%. And age-wise, the core user sits between 25 to 44, makes up over 40% of our customer base. So this group is highly active, highly spending group. At the same time, we also have meaningful penetration in the 18 to 24 and 45 to 54 segments. So overall, it is a very broad but commercially strong audience. We not very niche, not very overly skewed, but very scalable for brands. Nextly, I think some of the sellers would probably, the next question would probably be what actually sells on Temu. So from our demographics, I think you can already imagine, I think in general, we can see that Temu sells everything. But if we look at our local to local program specifically, there are several categories that have absolute competitive advantage comparing to cross-border sellers. So I summarized it to 3 pillars. First of all, it will be grocery. This is a seller that has 100% of revenue coming from local sellers. Currently, grocery is our second biggest local categories on Temu. And this year, we are looking to grow it 6 times bigger, which would make it the biggest local to local category on Temu. So looking into it, we welcome confectionery, cupboard foods, cleaning, alcohol and drinks, everything. So we actually only launched this category last year around August or September. We are very happy to see that the category is already growing following our prediction of 6 times incremental growth of this year. But currently, this is still blue sea. We have a huge product gap for cupboard food, alcohol, drinks, cleaning, etc. And second pillar we're looking at is home garden. So as you can imagine, bulky products, furniture, either is indoor furniture or outdoor furniture, there is a huge product gap from local sellers. Cleaning supplies and cleaning, as I mentioned earlier, in a grocery category, in general, this categories due to first of all, from our data, we can already see that customers already see Temu as a destination to purchase cleaning products. And secondly, due to compliance reasons, for many of the chemical products, we only allow local sellers to sell. Which is definitely advantage. And same goes with appliances, very bulky products. We don't really have so much competition from cross-border sellers, and plants, garden tools, etc. And pillar 3, we're looking at beauty, electronics, automotive, books. There are actually more than that because Temu is a horizontal marketplace. But here are the most potential categories I have summarized for all of the sellers. Even if your category is not listed here, do speak to us. Very likely, we also have huge gap for your category. So nextly, some of the sellers sometimes would have concerns over if you are a brand, because I was a brand owner myself as well. Sometimes when I go on different platforms, I would have concerns over whether my brand will be properly protected. I can see that working with so many platforms before, I can tell you that Temu takes brand protection very seriously. You can see from the data here. So up to June 2025, 99% of brand takedown requests were completed within 3 business days. The average time was less than actually 1 business day. We do not only reactive. For every 1 takedown request that comes in, we proactively remove around 200 infringing listings ourselves as well. And our algorithm constantly looks after the brands 24/7. We constantly looking for suspicious links, counterfeit products, and put down those links immediately when we find out. And so we can do that because we have extensive monitoring, tracking over 5 million images and 9 million keywords, we have already covered around 5,000 brands and working directly with around 200 leading brands globally to protect IP and reputation. For the seller, it's very easy to, especially for brands, it's actually very easy to sell on Temu. As long as you do your brand registration on the platform, you provide evidence either as the brand owner or the certificate, brand authorization letter, or purchasing evidence to showcase, to prove that you are the legit seller of the brand. And when selling, tag the brand. By doing that, our algorithm would automatically protect you on the platform 24/7. And also by tagging a brand on the platform, you will see that you have much higher conversion. Yeah. So nextly, I would like to talk about how to be a successful UK seller on the platform. So I think I've already mentioned a bit at the very beginning. Temu in general is a very straightforward platform. For many platforms, you would need agency helping you with listing, with advertisement, with lots of things like that. Temu usually, as long as you handle your listing, you handle your fulfillment, you find a trustworthy partner helping you, supporting you on that. Everything else is very straightforward. So listing is very important on Temu. We would gradually recommend you to add your full catalog. At the very beginning, we usually recommend sellers to test with 20 to 30 products so that you have the initial momentum on the platform. Our algorithm would notice you at the very beginning. Temu, in many sense, I think is like a social media of products. If on TikTok Shop you are browsing short videos, on Temu you are browsing products with our especially with our gamification settings, etc. So image and content are equally important on Temu. So we would usually recommend our sellers to have at least 6 high quality images. If you have videos, go ahead, list on the platform, upload on the platform. The third thing is that to be price competitive is very important. We're not asking the sellers to providing us the lowest price possible. However, to be price competitive definitely helps you to have better conversion. Yeah. Always register your brand. Selling as a branded products always sell better on the platform. And fifth, as I mentioned earlier, fast shipping does matter here. So we do, from our data, we do see that for cross-border sellers, usually they would only be able to deliver within around 7 to 10 days. However, as local sellers, especially for our sellers who are able to do next day delivery, usually their conversion is very high, and customers tend to trust them more as well. And last but not least, Temu, there's not so much marketing with Temu on the platform the sellers need to do. Usually we would recommend the sellers to join our platform campaigns. Either it's mega deal, it's flash sale. Joining the campaign is the best way to get additional traffic on the platform. And also another thing is that with the steps I mentioned above, so as the base.com partner, we actually would provide you a dedicated account manager to support you throughout the whole journey. Including listing products, including brand registration, or even traffic reports, feedback on your shop, further suggestions on listing, etc. We have a very strong team of around 70 people based in the UK, and our team mostly are from other platforms, other e-commerce platforms, major marketplaces, including Amazon, eBay, TikTok, etc. So we fully understand the local marketplace ecosystem. As a base.com partner, we definitely, so after today, as you can see from here, so what happens after today is that you are going to receive an exclusive sign-up link. And also later, you'll be able to see my colleague's email, who's in charge of the partnerships. If you contact via email, or if you prefer, you can directly register through the exclusive link. And every person who joins from the webinar today will receive the dedicated BD and account management support. We are going to set up speedy support via personal group chat, introducing you to our seller webinars, pilot programs, and also if you have any successful viral products on the platform, potential products on the platform, we always work very closely with our marketing team to push with our team budget for external marketing opportunities. Looking forward to working closely with sellers from today. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to leave your questions. I think we have a Q&A session by the end of this webinar. Yep, that's everything from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tian. It's really interesting and some great insights as to what it's going to perform and tactics to really get the most out of the opportunity. One quick question for me before I pass the mic over to Khalid. When you have someone who's keen to join Temu as a new seller, how quickly could that process happen in terms of obviously using a tool like Base to get products on, but prior to that, the KYC sort of onboarding process?
Yeah, the onboarding usually is very quickly. On average, we're looking at 2 to 3 business days. However, most of the sellers I have worked with, my team has worked with, usually the registration can be finished within 1 day. So given that all the materials are ready. And listing is very straightforward as well. Usually listings become active within 2-3 business working days as well.
Okay, incredible, because that sort of aligns nicely with the Base approach in terms of onboarding here, and again bringing maybe listings from an existing platform. It could be an Amazon, eBay, etc. Bringing into Base to then map that to Temu to push that live. So again, that sort of aligns quite nicely here. Tian, thank you so much for that. Khalid, the floor is yours. Looking forward to hearing more about Orange Connex.
Thank you very much, everyone, and a hard act to follow. Thank you so much, Tian. Lovely to hear more about Temu as always, and thank you for your intro, Pete. So what are Orange Connex? What do we do? Happy customers, as it says there, start with better fulfillment, as they say. But what are Orange Connex about? So we are a 4PL, technology-led 4PL provider, which seamlessly integrates your global e-commerce. So as a 4PL, the way we operate is, as opposed to a 3PL who own facilities and bricks and mortar sites, we are quite flexible in our areas of expertise where we can deploy, where we can set up warehousing, depending on client-specific needs, large seller needs, and geographically. From the perspective of what we do and how we work with Base and Temu, I would say that fulfillment is perhaps the backbone, or logistics being the backbone of most businesses. It's perhaps also the least glamorous side of the business. So Base, as a connector, they would take on the heavy lifting of all of your IT backbone and your structure on how you integrate with marketplaces. Temu would be one of your leading marketplaces. And then in the background, we would quietly do all of the dirty work, as they would call it, of making sure that all your products are safely stored and all of your orders get to your customers when they should, as quickly as possible, as safely as possible. So on that basis, what do we do? Well, we take it from an inbound to a storage to a pack and a ship. It's literally 4 stages of the business. It's 4 key pillars of what we do. And how do we do it? What does fulfillment mean overall? So we take your product, inbound and put away. That can be directly into our facilities globally, wherever they may be. Here today, we're discussing just the UK. But if it's not a case of us receiving your products directly into our warehouses, we can also provide an end-to-end. Most sourced product, most sellers are getting their products created or made in Southeast Asia. We provide a speed freight service where we can import the product directly into our facilities through a freight service. Once they're received, they'll be put away, normally within 2 business days. All the barcoding and the inbound scanning and the labels are automated through our portal. And then once those products have been put on the shelves, they are available almost immediately for sale online. Our system integrates with all the marketplaces with a 6-minute time lapse. So when you're integrated through Base, for example, any orders that are placed on marketplaces, today specifically we're discussing Temu, any order that's placed on Temu will be received by our warehouse within 6 minutes of order being placed online to be able to be picked, packed, and distributed to that end customer. So it's those 3 sources that we start with: inbound, storage and stock control, and shipping to end customer, all controlled in-house by our WMS. So our warehouse management system is applicable to all of our regions. So once you're registered with Orange Connex, you have access to our UK, our European, our Australian, and our US warehouses, all under one portal login. So what do we do to make your global e-commerce journey easier? We've got a multitude of different USPs. So beginning with our late cutoff. In the UK, we have a cutoff time of 6 p.m., which is approximately 2 hours better than the nearest competition. And that's on a Monday to Sunday service. We operate weekends also. So even if, let's say, for example, one of your customers was to order on Temu at 5:30 p.m., they would receive their order on a next day basis if they were paying for a premium service, or an economy service could be 2 to 3 days. That flexibility matches what we do alongside Base. Base, as Pete mentioned earlier, they don't have minimum terms. There's no contracts. It's the same with Orange Connex. We do not have a contract. We don't tell sellers that they must tie in for a minimum of 6 months to a year. There is no minimum requirement on how many SKUs need to onboard. It could be 1 SKU, it could be 10, it could be 1 million. As Tian mentioned, some sellers on Temu could have up to 1 million SKUs. It can be as little or as many as you want. The pricing is the same structure. We have a very, very clear and transparent pricing structure of the earlier mentioned 3 pillars. It's the inbound. Once received, those products are put on the shelf. There's 1 charge for that. Then there's a standalone charge for your storage fees, whether it be on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. And then it will be the final fee, which is your fulfillment. That's an all-inclusive rate. So that's the picking off the shelf, the processing, the last mile label, and the shipping to your end customer. The support that's received, very similar to what Tia mentioned. At Temu, you get a dedicated account manager. Through the Base relationship with Orange Connex, you would also receive a dedicated account manager, an onboarding specialist, and a customer service contact with whom you'd be able to have direct contact on a first name basis, not a call center, not a distribution center, nothing outsourced. It's all in-house, all Orange Connex branded, all OC staff. So it's effectively a hand-holding solution from day one all the way through your entire selling process. So even if you're a seller with Orange Connex and you've got your portfolio with us for a year or 2, you'd still have a dedicated account manager at any time you need them. And again, one-stop fulfillment. This fulfillment management solution for multi-channel is powered by Base. We historically have had standalone integrations with multiple marketplaces, with core stakeholders and partners that we work with. However, we found that a partnership with the likes of a company like Base, who are able to focus, and each individual company here on this webinar able to focus on where their expertise lie. Our expertise of fulfillment, Base's expertise are connectors. They connect to all your marketplaces. They're able to ensure that your IT, your responses, your tickets are handled to a T. And we are able to then plug into them and allow you to sell on all your marketplaces. And our powerful plugin to Temu is via Base, because it allows us to focus not through the API connection to Temu, but Base would look after that. We would connect the sellers via Base into Temu. That would then open up your global expansion and your fully tracked service, all connected through our Orange Connex portal and our Base connectivity. We've got a selection of last mile and shipping companies that we use in the UK. Again, we have those globally in Germany, in the US, Australia, etc. In the UK, we have contracts set up with very, very capable shipping companies for your fully tracked services across the board. And that would enable your global expansion. After you've set up in the UK, you're then able to outreach into all the previously mentioned locations, all through Orange Connex. And that multi-channel capability and the partnership that we have with Base provides you with a 30-minute tracking update, which is usually every 4 hours, but the connection via Base when connecting to Temu and Orange Connex would give you that free update every 30 minutes as opposed to 4 hours. And our breadth of reach, so where we actually operate with fulfillment centers and where we have facilities, the UK, Germany, USA, Australia. As mentioned, we're focusing today on the UK, but as also mentioned earlier, we can transport goods directly from source into our UK facilities to ensure that it's a complete end-to-end loop supply chain. So the goods come in as soon as they're produced straight into our UK warehouses. Those are unpacked, put away, and ready to sell on Temu, and then we'll be able to ship those to your customers within 1 business day. To date, we started in the UK in the year 2021. We've shipped over 3 million packages. We've got over 3,500 sellers and a KPI consistently above 95%. So who do we support? As well as obviously sellers from Temu, our focus is B2C. Temu again being B2C focused for local to local. Sellers with their own online shops, not just Temu as well, again, all plugged in and powered via the connection through Base. But who do we support alongside sellers who've got their own warehouses? They use fulfillment as a backup. They may, as mentioned earlier, only want to trial 10, 20, 30 different SKUs that they want to outsource, depending on fast sellers or something that's over their usual capacity, or perhaps when they're reaching Q4 peak, and their own fulfillment solution just won't cut it when their volumes are rising, so they need an outsourced solution. Of course, sellers without their own warehouses, where fulfillment becomes essential, that's where we step in and we'll be able to take on all the fulfillment requirement. Sellers with limited resources, i.e. struggling with high shipping and logistics costs, maybe using competitive firms who have a fantastic service, but perhaps don't benchmark themselves too well on pricing, so they need to be a bit more competitive with their rates, i.e. Perhaps selecting Orange Connex via the Base plugin. And of course, sellers with poor service levels. As I mentioned earlier in the webinar, those who want to scale quickly on a new marketplace really need to focus on their KPIs and their buyer satisfaction. And that satisfaction and that rating comes with a really good kickstart on any marketplace. Poor service levels or below industry standard will really drag that performance. And being able to outsource to a company like Orange Connex, who do this day in, day out, will be able to support with making sure that that kickstart on Temu is as swift and as successful as possible. So how do we work together as a triplicate, OC, Base, and Temu? Well, with the plugin that we have with Base, it works as an auto sync and an auto mapping. As soon as the OC and the Base connectivity is performed and you have your Temu marketplace listed and ready to use via Base, all your SKUs are automatically synced and mapped, ready to sell, and ensure that all of the listings that we have in our storage are ready to dispatch for everything that you have in your real-time inventory management. Automated order fulfillment for everything that's ordered, as I mentioned earlier, every 6 minutes for every order that's placed on Temu up to our cutoff time of 6 p.m., even on a Sunday, with your auto shipment updates. And exclusive with Base, as Tian mentioned, there are some exclusive offers for Temu, as well as with Temu, there's exclusive offers via Orange Connex. For anyone on this webinar, after you see the contact details at the end, we are offering a £300 exclusive inbound discount fee. As soon as we receive your initial inbound, we'll take off £300 of that fee. You'll receive 0 storage fees for your first month of use. As mentioned on the previous slide, you will receive free shipping updates for life in your Base connection every 30 minutes. And I will hand you back over to Pete for your integration.
Thank you, Carlin. Really interesting. And again, it's really important to have such a reliable partner like Orange Connex, and grateful for the discount for base users as well. Before we just jump on to questions, we've got some really good questions from the floor here. Just within base, it is super easy to be able to connect to these partners. Within your base account, you go to the integrations tab, you search for the integration that you want to add, and it's a very simple case of just adding your account details when you come to it. So it's super easy and seamless to be able to connect. If you need help, there is 24/7 support available. Questions. We've had some good questions from the floor, so thank you for your patience. Question from Paul here, and again, this is for you, Tian. The local to local program that you're talking about, and specifically speaking, obviously Temu has a multitude of different nationalities and therefore shipping from different countries. Can you tell us a bit more about what local to local means?
Yes, local to local program means that basically we have two or three requirements from the seller. First of all, the seller needs to be a UK-based seller, has a UK legal entity with UK VAT, with a valid VAT. And secondly, their warehouse and their products need to be UK-based as well. Unlike cross-border sellers who are selling directly from China, we request all of the local sellers to sell directly from UK. And after becoming a UK local seller, at the front end from the customer end, you would see that you have a green tag, green logo saying that you are local warehouse. Basically, make your products stand out from the other products from the cross-border sellers. And also as local sellers have exclusive traffic that directly only for local sellers. And if you are a branded local seller, then you have more benefits. So local to local program is specially designed for our local sellers. I feel like I have said a lot of local.
Let's keep it local. Again, a good question here from Katia. It's really about the end customer's location as well. So whilst it's local to outside, like a UK seller shipping to France, for example.
Yes. So currently we have already allowed European sellers to sell to UK from European directly. We are still in a process. There are still some further logistic side of things to sort out on UK sellers selling to the Europe. However, if you have an Ireland legal entity, you are able to sell using your Ireland legal entity. You are able to sell to all of the European countries. We currently are running at 27 European countries as well.
Awesome. Okay, and Carlin, from your perspective, of course, from that fulfillment piece, obviously your warehouses are dotted around the globe. You support UK sellers sending globally.
Yeah, absolutely. We have that service. Again, it's a testing phase type of environment whereby a seller will be able to see what type of audience they have further afield. But perhaps the most effective tool when it comes to fulfillment is even after starting in the UK, if they notice that they've got a really solid buyer base out in Germany, for example, they can just deploy their same inventory into our German facilities, which would then, of course, attract a cheaper shipping rate and be able to reach those buyers much more quickly. So they'd be able to scale up their store without having to set up a whole new business abroad. They just need a German tax ID and be able to deploy that product into our German warehouse and utilize the same plugin via Orange Connex and Base without having to change any of their inventory mapping or any of their connectivity. They'd just be able to attract a whole new audience of buyers out in Europe through that connectivity.
Thanks, Colin. Actually, you sort of helped answer Olivia's question. Thank you for your question, Olivia. Can I sell on Temu in the UK and other different marketplaces in the US, for example, all from Base? And the answer is yes. Base is fully configured to support local to local, but also local to other markets as well, and different marketplaces in different regions. Thank you for the questions. They're coming thick and fast. Alex G, thank you, Alex. What separates the sellers who scale fastest on Temu from those who struggle?
Thank you, Alex, for this question. I think this question, I probably have a lot of replies. I guess in general, when we look at, if we look at successful sellers, I think I've already mentioned the best practices. Usually they have very good branding on the platform. Regardless they are a brand themselves or not, they usually pay a lot of attention to their assets on the platform, their thumbnail pictures, etc. If we look at sellers who are struggling, I think it depends on the category. Some of the categories, the sellers would have a more learning curve on the platform due to either compliance reason or competition from cross-border sellers. But if you are one of the category, if you are one of the categories I mentioned earlier on what sell best from our local to local program, I think is rarely that you would have a lot of challenges on the platform. But most important thing is that sort out your listing and sort out your fulfillment, etc. As long as these are covered, I think in general, Temu is a very straightforward platform. Yeah.
Terrific. Thanks, Tian. So the two main challenges, and you have solutions for them here today. Another question from Olivia. This is one for you, Tian, as well. Is Temu positioning itself as a discount marketplace only, or is there room for premium brands?
Thank you, Olivia, for the question. I think Temu is definitely a horizontal marketplace for either white label sellers and branded sellers. We are currently, from our local to local program, we are currently already working directly with around 2,000 brands. Including big brands like we had iPhone selling on the platform, we have Lego, we have a lot of beauty brands, etc., let alone grocery brands. I think Temu is not really a discount platform. It's rather a platform for good value. I think all of our customers recognize us as a platform providing them with great products with great value. They can purchase either home organizers, kitchen organizers, or TV. They believe that whatever products they are purchasing from Temu is with great value. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. And Khaled, one for you. Boris, thank you for your question. I think we've been through this, but Khaled, from the Orange Connex perspective, of course, you have warehouses in different regions, and that means you can support sellers locally. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So sellers locally, or those who want to try new regions who've never had the opportunity to do so. Obviously, the biggest spike was after Brexit, for example, when the UK sellers or German sellers, for example, anyone in Europe, were struggling to sell into the UK or vice versa due to obviously the duty changes, etc. Having those products being able to be deployed in European warehousing or Australian or US, as Boris asked, is the potential to have outreach to an entirely new audience. So it's, again, taking that same list of inventory and being able to connect with base into marketplaces in new regions that they haven't tried before because they didn't have the capacity or the integrations or the tools to do so. But with the three partners that we have here today, Temu, Base, and Orange Connex, it opens up so many doors for new regions, new trials, new abilities, new audiences. As Tian mentioned really, really succinctly earlier, it's not cannibalizing your other marketplaces. If you've got, let's say, products on Amazon in the US or in the UK or Germany, 90% of, as Tia mentioned, your buyers through Temu are completely different. It's a whole new audience that you're approaching. So again, it's the same with fulfillment in different regions. You may think that because you've got orders going from the UK over to Germany, that you've got a fantastic buyer audience in Germany, but actually deploying that product there with a shorter window of delivery and a whole new perspective on marketplaces in that relevant region, you may find a whole new set of buyers, and your shop will just scale up from there.
More buyers and more efficiencies. Thank you, Khaled. Got 10 seconds for one more question from Florian. Florian, thank you for joining, and thanks for the question. Is there a monthly minimum fee when using Orange Connex?
No, as mentioned earlier, it is totally like Base, a pay-as-you-go service. What you use is what you pay for, nothing more, nothing less. Again, pay-as-you-go, meaning as much as you put in is as much as you pay, and the more shipments you send out, the more you pay per piece. Otherwise, there is no minimum. There's no specific requirement of what you must do and how long you must be with us. But we're very proud to say that sellers who do join do tend to stay. Well, we've had sellers since day one who are still with us 5 years strong and 5 years on. So we're proud to say that we don't have those terms because we're quite confident that we can onboard and retain sellers for life.
And you must be doing something right.
Absolutely.
A big thanks to everybody. Our time is up today, sadly. I thought we'd have this challenge of talking too much, but I'm pleased to say we managed to get it in the hour. There are lots of links and information that we're going to send to you following the webinar, including how to sign up to Temu, how to speak to Khaled and the team at Orange Connex, how to speak to Tian, etc. And for those also who'd like to register with Base, there's a special link here where you get your first month completely for free. So we'll follow up with an email with all these special links. A big thanks to Tian and Khaled for joining us today, and a big thanks to you all for your questions and for joining, and looking forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having us.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.